Yes, thank you, Lilith. Thank you, Lilith. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Oh, goodness gracious. All righty. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Hey, good morning, you guys. Thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. I've got to talk about something, you guys, and I'm gonna be going back downstairs because I gotta go down here and get my tea. And I really wanna get into this because I am noticing that there are certain people that are just really giving out very false information. And in which we're not going to even tap into what their agenda is because we have done that so many times. We've done that so many times. Okay. And we've already been in and out and back and forth when it comes to that. But first of all, what you do in your bedroom is once again nobody's business as long as you're not committing any crimes against children or elderly people. That's just it. For a person to be so wrapped up in what you do sexually, clearly there is an agenda. Is that not something that would make sense? Okay. Now, here's what I want to tell you. A high priestess with a sexual appetite is not weak. A high priestess that is submissive to her man is not weak either. No, that doesn't make her weak. Okay. So let's first of all start off by saying this. There are a lot of people that have sexual trauma. I think that we all do. We all do. Okay. There's people that are walking around with certain afflictions within their body. And it just it's obvious what people want. It's obvious what people want, right? That's obvious. Okay. And I'm trying to find a way to like I don't even know where to start when it comes to this. I'm kind of having a hard time trying to figure out where to start with this because it's so much information that I can give you guys right now that you need to hear about. Oh God, I can start off by saying that there are, for some reason, people that are in this world that want to control your sexual energy. Okay, because I was really, really, really like I struggled for at least an hour. I kept throwing the cards. I threw I threw my witch's wisdom deck because I was like, oh my God, how do I talk about this? How do I actually you know what is it that we're supposed to protect our sexual energy? Well, yeah, we are. Yes, we are supposed to protect our sexual energy. Yes, I agree with that. But then I said, I need to just come straight out and say it that some of these people are projecting their own traumas out to other people and they don't know what they're talking about. I can assure you that the power in a high priestess is not only coming from the heart chakra, but it is radiating through the throat chakra. Does that make sense? Because a lot of what we do in magic has to do with our voice. It has to do with our voice and the strength of our words and being able to state our intent and manifesting it, and not just having that intent in our throat chakra by speaking it, but then also by manifesting it through having a strong heart. Okay. Now, I have been banishing demons and destroying demons, and I'm talking about demons not like Lilith. Okay, does that make sense? Because a lot of people are having a really hard time. In fact, let's not call them demons. Let's call them disembodied spirits. Let's call them entities. Because people are getting their wires crossed when it comes to calling them demons, because there's a lot of people that will totally contradict themselves and say, hey, my demons are good. But then again, they're a demon slayer, which doesn't make any sense to me. So right off the bat, you can tell the confusion of some people. Very, very confused as to what they are talking about. Here's what here's what I'll say. If it is a spirit or an entity that seems to be hindering you in some kind of way, okay? Does this make sense? Hello, A101. Hello. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. But this whole thing to where, because see, over here, this channel is mainly set up around the divine couples and the twin flames, which is very real. It is very real. It's a very real paradigm, and it's very important for us to get guidance on this because there's millions of divine couples out there, millions. And this is something that just, I guess, surfaced with the new age. They call it the new age, but it's actually not necessarily new. Spirit foresaw this coming, so it's not anything new. There is nothing really new under the sun. It's just that there's certain things that are coming back. There's certain things that are coming back. You know what I'm saying? And I can honestly tell you that as an authentic high priestess, I have a very healthy sexual appetite, but I am still very powerful when it comes to setting my intent And then especially with banishing demons. And this is very dangerous for people to get it twisted, because I think that when you have people that are essentially targeting other people, and their channels are based up solely around flip-flopping back and forth just so that they can manipulate certain people, something's going to have to give when it comes to that. And so I am here, like right now I am slaying a demon right now, but I'm doing it in a way to where you guys can understand me, right? I'm not speaking in Latin. Okay, but I might start speaking in Latin in a little bit just to give you guys a taste, because I don't know what it is about that exorcism incantation. When I recite it, it completely washes a person's soul and their spirit of their something that might be making you depressed, something that might be making you angry, something that might make you suicidal, something that might make you just in general, and just overall feel like crap, things that are preventing you from living and experiencing life. And even though we're high priestesses and we call ourselves goddesses and living gods, there's still nature. So for me, I okay, so first of all, I practice from a paganism point of view. Even though I have my own ideas, I still practice the traditional pagan way. I consider myself, I would, if I were to have to carry a label, I would carry myself as I would carry the label as being pagan, because it's how I identify myself. Because and even when it comes to witchcraft is very, very strongly based in nature. This was the root of witchcraft. Back in the day when they would rub two sticks together to make fire, that's an example. Now we've got lighters and matches and stuff, and blow torches. You know what I'm saying? And so, but back in the day, that first spark of flame, when the human mind could think and could relate nature. So if you were to rub two sticks together to make fire, what is that going to produce? That is going to produce warmth, right? That's going to produce warmth and even light. Even light. If you were to take, if you were to make a make stick torch, right? And you've got like sticks and they're bind together, and you don't have any matches, but you know that if you were out in the middle of the wilderness without anything, for a fact, unless the sticks were wet, unless it was raining, then you probably have to go and find some dry sticks, which I'm sure nature would provide. You would rub those two sticks together, and that would make fire. And then that way you could carry this torch throughout the darkness so that you'd be able to see. Now, it's not to say that you wouldn't survive if you were not able to have that torch, but it would make it easier, wouldn't it? Well, I mean, if you knew a way to navigate yourself through a situation, if you were given the choice, okay, you would rather be able to see, because you never know. You could be walking off a cliff, right? Or you could be walking into a ditch, unless okay, if you were being guided by your intuition, which is fine. If a person's intuition is strong enough, then you would be able to see the ditch before you fall into it, right? But then again, what if you fell into a ditch? Does that mean that your intuition is not strong just because you fell into a ditch? And does that mean that the universe didn't put that ditch in front of you for you to fall out of, to teach you that if you would have just rubbed the two sticks together and binded some stick, you wouldn't have fell out of that ditch? So what you would say is would you give up? Would you give up if you fell down in the ditch? And would you say, well, I guess it just ain't meant for me to make it through this, so I'll just fall down in the ditch and die? I'm not going to try to get myself out of the ditch. I'm just going to fall down into the ditch because I couldn't make it through the darkness. So I give up. I give up and I'm just going to lay here in the ditch and die and not even try to get myself out of it. See what I'm saying? So so next time, so what you would be thinking while you're in that ditch is you would be thinking, if I would have had a torch where I would be able to see something, where it would illuminate my way, then I wouldn't have fell down in this ditch. So when I get out of this ditch, I'm going to create a torch so that it doesn't, so that I can see something. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of people and there's a lot of energies out there that will tell you, well, no, you are essentially stupid and you're dumb because you couldn't just walk through complete pitch black. And because you ran into issues, because you didn't perfectly navigate yourself through this darkness. So this is the principle of you know what I'm saying? And there's a point that I'm going to be making here. Trust me, because my whole principle when it comes to my craft, because I don't like the struggle. Our ancestors have already been through the struggle. I don't like the struggle. They paved the way. Our ancestors lit the way so that it would be easier for us. And a lot of times our ancestors will sit back when I connect with my ancestors. That's exactly why they struggled so that you wouldn't have to. That's why our ancestors created matches out of sulfur. That's why they created those things so that you could save time, so that it wouldn't be so much struggle, right? So when it comes to nature, okay, when it comes to nature, and then also I think that when somebody says that they are a high priestess or anything, if they say that they're a witch, if they say they're a high priestess, if they're a healer, there's going to be so many people that are going to be like, well, what is that? They're going to be thinking, what exactly is it that you're doing, and where do you get that from, and what is it? Okay. Now, obviously, if you were to say that you're a high priestess, that's you saying that you rank. That's basically saying that you have a lot of knowledge, and a lot of the knowledge is hidden and it doesn't seem to come out until it's time. That's what that means. I'll give you guys an example. Do you remember in American Horror Story? I know this is just a TV show, but this is one of my favorite TV shows. I'm one of those witches that I love witchy shows, even though they don't depict, it's for a TV show. If they were to just kind of, well, not really. I think that if you guys were to see what I do as a witch on a daily basis, you would be totally interested in it. But they make it for TV, okay? So do you remember when Marie Laveau, the character playing Marie Laveau, she had conjured a bunch of zombies to attack the other witches' coven, okay, her enemy's coven. And oh God, I can't remember her name. The one, you remember in that scene where Okay, the witch, I can't remember her name. Oh my goodness. The one that was the one that was the obvious star of that particular season. She went and hid herself inside of a tomb, but the zombies got inside of her tomb anyway. And she was literally like afraid, they were closing in on her. And then all of a sudden, she raises up her hand and she says something. And all of the zombies die. Marie Laveau falls to the ground and she's like, what was that? They got some real power over there. Now, I'm not saying that because a lot of people didn't really like that. They're like, oh, well, that's Marie Laveau. How's somebody going to? The whole point of that is that she's a high priestess, essentially, is what she was. And at the time that she needed her power, it came out at the time that she needed it. So high priestesses basically have a lot of hidden gifts that they don't even know about, things that have not surfaced yet, unless it depends on the situation that they're in. So a high priestess is basically saying, I am constantly changing, constantly growing, constantly evolving. And I believe that a high priestess recognizes that. So for example, where it could be one way, one day it could be something totally, I don't want to say totally different, because I do believe that we all have a foundation. But I do believe that um, growth and ascending, I don't want to say ascending, it's where things I believe that things transmute. And so where one thing might be one day, maybe one thing one day, the next day you could essentially add to it. It could expand. You can expand upon anything, right? It's called expansion and growth. Okay. So when you are discovering your power, that's literally the way that it is. Okay. And so coincidentally, in this particular season of American Horror Story, the same witch that I'm talking about, she had somewhat of like some really strong powers of Black Widow. She couldn't have sex with a normal boy because she would just kill him. He would instantly die from having sex with her. So that's the witch that I'm talking about in that one. But I think that they were essentially talking about that Black Widow effect that some of us witches could have over people. You see what I'm saying? So basically, that's what a high priestess is. A high priestess is a witch that has a lot of different spiritual gifts, and then and many of them are hidden. It doesn't mean that that witch is not flesh and blood. Um, and and coincidentally, in that particular show, she, this witch had a healthy sexual appetite. She just couldn't have sex because it would kill the man. And so eventually she had to get with, she found her perfect man because he was basically, I guess you could call him a zombie. He was a person that had died that they had brought back to life. And then that was how she was able to experience love. Okay. When it comes to sex, sex sex is one of those hidden mysteries. It's one of those mysteries. It's not something that it should have never, it should have never been something that should have been, just out there like that. You know what I'm saying? how can I put it? Because it's really difficult for me to talk about this because I think that if it were not for people's sexual appetite, this world would be dead. It would be no people here. There would be no people. If our parents were not having sex, we wouldn't be here, would we? We wouldn't have life. So a person that questions sex is essentially probably in a very dark, depressed place. And they question life altogether. They do. And then especially the past, probably 50 years, they have been selling death with sex because of all of the diseases and things that could kill you from having sex. Okay. But, so if you have a healthy sexual appetite, you don't have to feel bad for that or feel like you're weak. You're definitely not weak. You're first of all, it's nobody's business. I don't understand why people are so into why are people so interested in other people's sex life. I have no idea. And why do people project that onto you? In fact, if you have a healthy sexual appetite, and I am not judging anybody, I feel like a healthy sexual appetite is what I define it. Other people would define it a different way. Okay. Other people would define it in a different way. And so when you think about some people's experiences with sex, they may be rooted in trauma-based sexuality, TBS, trauma-based sexuality. And I think that a lot of us have had trauma sexually. I know that I didn't realize it until I was celibate for several years. But thank the goddess that I was healed from that. Because what sexual trauma does to you is it closes off the solar plexus, the heart chakra, and the sacral. If you don't have a healthy sexual appetite, then what's going to happen is that your sacral chakra is going to eventually close off and dry up. And we know, living in a world of medical witchcraft, that the medical industry says that every woman, is over the age of 40 is going to experience menopause and her stuff is going to dry up, right? Well, we see that happening to women in their 20s. So what's going on with that? The whole point of it was that it was never the church or the medical industry's business to tell us what to do with our bodies. It wasn't. It would and that's what they're essentially doing, because I'm going to tell y'all right now that I believe that menopause is a mental illness facilitated by the medical industry. There's a lot of wonderful things that I believe that the medical industry does, because I was going to talk about medical witchcraft. I tend to not talk about that a lot. I only talk about that during readings. I don't get into that with it. I don't do that on YouTube. I really don't. I don't do that on YouTube. I've touched on it, and it just seems to make the problem worse with certain people. So I don't do that. But I don't believe in the fact that a doctor can tell you when you're going to die. I believe that if somebody tells you that you're going to die, then your brain will tell your body that, and then that's essentially what's going to happen. Okay. Now, obviously, if your kidneys are shutting down or something like that, or you know what I'm saying, if it's certain things, doctors can maybe predict that based upon what they're seeing, But we all know that people have defied those particular things all the time. So I think that it mixes in with that. I think that you can have a healthy sexual appetite up until the day that you decide to ascend, or the day that you decide to transition over to someplace else. And we're finding it out. There was a YouTuber that died, rest in peace. She actually just died mysteriously not too long ago. She was pregnant and she died mysteriously. She was eating her breakfast and then she just died. And a lot of people are like, well, what's the deal with that? Because they said they blamed it on a pulmonary embolism, is what they said it was. And they were like, well, I've had a pulmonary embolism that I have survived, and I had a lot of pain. I had a lot of symptoms. And for her to just, not have any symptoms and just die like that. And she, her husband's very devastated. She's a YouTuber. Actually, I can't think of her name, but you see what I'm saying? So I think that people that don't have a healthy sexual appetite are either people that have had sexual trauma or they look at sex in a different way. Um, Now, when it comes to sex and sexual activity, I'm not looking at a pimp, because I was listening to this person and they start talking about pimps and hoeing. And I'm like, what does this have to do with sex? What does a pimp have to do with my sexual harmony? Nothing. Well, he may be a pimp, might be trying to interrupt my sexual harmony, because a pimp is somebody essentially that's trying to sell your sexual energy. So they could very well, in that process, kind of disrupt or either try to disrupt your sexual harmony. But then again, this is a person, a pimp, or somebody that is trafficking somebody. This is somebody that is not in, if that is happening to you, that is not a normal sexual healthy occurrence, because technically in nature, you should be able to go and just grab a banana or orange or apple off of a tree. You should be able to go and find a animal, if you eat meat, to go and hunt, and you should be able to just grab it and either eat it raw or cook it. You see what I'm saying? So in nature, there's no pimps or hoes. That doesn't even make any sense, because a pimp is doing what he's doing to either get drugs or food, right? Is why he's putting women out there or men out there and exploiting them, because the pimp wants money, because the pimp is devoid. The pimp is void of any connection with nature. That's why we have that. Okay. So essentially, that particular thing is much, much deeper than what it looks like. Hello, Queen Bee. Yeah, if you're a woman and you're in a situation where you're being pimped, for whatever reason, this completely goes against nature. Again, witchcraft is a nature-based belief. And I know this is kind of all over the place because I'm finally getting to the point. It was almost like there was a dark area that I had to get through, because and by the way, guys, make sure y'all get into inbox, because we're going to be, well, today we're doing Lilith invocations. Okay, and I'm not going to be doing that live. I'm going to be doing that at my altar today. And so make sure that you guys get in the circle, because I'm going to tell you something. These particular entities, they're out there. If you only can see sex from a standpoint of being pimped and hoeing out your actual vagina or your penis, you are not necessarily, now I don't want to say not necessarily, but I want to, you know what? I will say that Because even though a person feels that they don't have a choice but to do that, even though a person feels as though, they that's what they have to do, there's still that part of themselves that wants something different. Nature is still calling them. This is the reason why I always say that love on any spectrum, it's based in nature. Love is based in nature because it's that, first of all, it's that primal instinct. A person that is connected with nature is going to know that having a healthy sexual partner or a healthy sex life is going to do what? It's going to heal you. It's going to heal you. It's going to heal your body. That's very important for people to know. Now, I'm not saying that you should go out there and just sleep with anybody. No, I'm not saying that. But sex actually does heal the body. There's a lot of people that replace the actual benefits of sex with some medication. For example, scientists have been proving for a very, very long time that sex cures depression, anxiety, high blood pressure, heart disease. This has been written in scientific texts, but there's a lot of people that would rather, instead of having sex for whatever reason, maybe they don't desire their partner anymore. Maybe they are bored, maybe they got with the wrong partner. For whatever reason, instead of them being able to have that healthy sexual energy, especially on a daily basis, they're going to look at sex totally different. They're going to look at it as if it's dirty and it's nasty because they don't desire it. For whatever reason, they don't desire sex. Having a healthy sexual appetite, which healthy to me, what is a healthy sexual appetite to me? Okay, because perception is reality to everybody. Whatever your perception is going to be your reality, your individual reality. So a healthy sexual appetite for me would be one that wants to connect with the person that they love and have sex with them because it's going to make you feel good, right? But then other people may look at sex as having sex with several different people. That's their, if that is what they feel, which I don't feel that way because we've talked about it. And I've talked about that a lot on this channel about how I believe that you can be on, you know, some, I feel like there's some things, some people that are on other sides of extremities. I feel like these are extreme situations. You see what I'm saying? So, but I think that hell is freezing over when divine couples are being ripped apart and told, no, you shouldn't have sex because this is bad. There's a problem with that. Now, if somebody is, let's say, demonically possessed and they're having sex with a bunch of different people, to me, this could create problems. And I've talked about that, and a lot of people agree with me on that. A lot of people agree with me on that because I think it depends on the individual person. I think that, for example, um, when you see a man trying to have sex with several different women at the same time, and he's trying to get all these women to come together, but then you have maybe one or two of those women that are like, well, this is not my, this is not what feels sexually healthy for me. It doesn't. Because and I feel that it isn't, because I feel that human beings should be having sex more than once per day with the same partner. I believe that entities and certain certain energies would like to interrupt that sexual flow between people because they want to use it. Why? Because it's either underdeveloped in themselves, so they may need to feed. And if their sexual energy is overdeveloped, then they need it for balance. So, this is the reason why people focus so heavily on couples in particular. Okay, this is one of the reasons why when people see a couple, they'll take them and they'll either embrace it or either they will want to tear those people down because they need that to balance themselves because they are on the other side of that extreme. But when you get two people that are healthy and they want to have sex with each other and it ain't nobody's business, nobody's. The question is, why are the peeping toms peeping through the window? It is because they are either very, very sexually oppressed for some reason, which has a trauma base to it, or they're doing too much, so they need that balance. This is one of the reasons why when you're seeing these poly relationships, the man always has to work in a woman that brings him balance. That you notice that even when we see them, it's always one woman that brings him balance. And the rest of them are just like, oh, I'm just so cool with it and da 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 but it's that one person that that's probably going to give him that balance and he's probably going to have sex with her more, which I disagree with the whole thing. I believe, and this is my personal perception, that the most healthiest sexual relationships is between two people together because it makes sense, and so I think that people that have dealt with the other extreme of that are going to have a different opinion because I've never lived that lifestyle. I've never had sex with a pimp. I've never been with a pimp type of person. I've never, the men that I've dealt with, they have wanted our relationship exclusively. They're not just going to be okay with me saying, "Hey honey, I'm just going to go out and have sex with this other person. Is that okay?" They're going to be like, "No, that's not okay. What are you doing? What's wrong with you?" If your partner all of a sudden decided, "Hey, I'm going to go out and have sex with this other person," deuces, you're going to be like, what is going on? Something ain't right here. So I guess it depends on where you're at and then also how you were raised, possibly. But then again, how you were raised doesn't really matter because eventually you're going to have to find your own path. Okay. Now, first of all, having a healthy sexual relationship actually makes you more balanced and more strong. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't mean that your work is going to be compromised. As a high priestess, I have a healthy sexual appetite. I don't even, y'all have seen me on YouTube. I do not hide that because I think it's important. I think it's important for us to not, negate away from that. And I think that in itself, what I'm speaking about is wisdom, but they always want to cloak wisdom with some kind of celibacy or weirdness. That's to me, that's strange. That makes no sense. Now, I can say that when I was going through celibacy, I had to do some very deep healing and a lot of different things that may have traumatized me or was put into me as a child and then growing up and discovering yourself sexually. A lot of those things did manifest themselves. But then, as I discovered self, I realized what gave me balance. Okay. Oh, y'all, I am just really blushing and cheesing from ear to ear. So, um, the one thing I want to tell you, here's the thing, especially when it comes to your sexual partner, they are actually supposed to, that energy is supposed to uplift you. That energy is not supposed to make you feel bad. That energy is supposed to be uplifting. They're supposed to energize you, or you're supposed to energize each other. It's not supposed to be um, this sadness and depression. Um, and feeling like something is wrong with you. Okay. Now I'm kind of merging both of the topics together, but I can tell you that as an authentic high priestess, and see, this is why I'm here. I am not here to tell you that you're supposed to close off your sexual energy. In fact, anybody that I deal with, if you say that to me, I'm going to instantly recognize that something is wrong. Something is really wrong. If your sacral chakra is shut off like that, that means well, first of all, that can mean that your energy is not necessarily being dispersed to the rest of your chakras. I believe that sex, the reason why it's so healing is because it'll help manifest that energy and it'll help balance and regulate your key. Very important. And so I am not here to continue on the mistake of telling people that sex is bad. I'm actually here to help people heal from their sexual afflictions. Okay. And by the way, at the end of my celibacy, it was almost like I was dying is what it was just like I was dying because it carried on for way too long. So what is the deal with people trying to force celibacy? What's going on with that? Why are people so concerned about what you do sexually in the bedroom? Would be the first question. Why does it matter to them so much to where they're constantly talking about it and thinking about it and purposely, because I've seen people purposely trying to um, manipulate people's sexual energies, and they'll tell you not to have sex, which is healing, but then to go and get on medication that's supposed to do the same thing in your body that natural sex provides for your body. So that's the perspective that I'm coming from. And I think that everybody has their own personal choices that they make, but my spirits are they would never agree with that. Never. So sex does not weaken a person. It doesn't. In fact, what does you having sex have to do with your abilities? And I think that if anything, sex would heighten your abilities because sex can be very energizing for both partners. If you're feeling drained from somebody, then it may not even necessarily be that person. It might just be the attachments or the entity attachments that they have. But just like with the medical industry, and I think that a lot of people that come from that perspective, they believe in cutting things off instead of healing it or finding some other alternative. Just cut it off. Oh, you have a fibroid tumor. Just cut the whole uterus out. Oh, you and I don't necessarily believe that it has to be that way. One of the reasons why I don't this is one of the reasons why, guys, and I know a lot of people, I'm not even going to say that because it would trigger a lot of people, because there's a lot of people that are slaves to that, right? Yeah, yeah. So the point that I'm driving home today is that your high priestess Jamila does have a very healthy sexual appetite. It will not and does not impede on the work that I do for you. Okay. And so, and because people will try to use whatever they can against a person. And obviously, I have a healthy sexual appetite. Obviously, there is nothing wrong with that. I think that when it comes to like having some kind of sexual revolution, because I think that we're on the other side of the extreme where people are saying, why are you trying to disturb my sexual energy? And so that you can understand that I'm not going to let you do that. I'm going to go to the extreme to put that sexual energy out there because that's what I want back. So that's what ends up happening with a lot of people is that they're like, you know, and as you get older, believe it or not, and this is what doesn't make any sense. This is why I always say that it's really backwards. You know, my grandmother, she used to tell me when I was younger, because I did start exploring sex probably a little bit younger than what people would have expected. And my grandmother used to tell me, she'd be like, well, if you think that you enjoy it now, wait until you get in your 30s and 40s. It gets better. It gets, and I didn't, and you know what? I always knew what she meant when she said that because, you know, when it comes to any of us, men or women, the older that you get, you don't just, you blossom. You're supposed to blossom. You're supposed to, um, you know, age doesn't necessarily mean decay. Not when it comes to a human being that has a heart that breathes and walks and talks. So, for some reason, what they are teaching us is that the older we get, we start to die. And that's actually not the truth. So, what's up with that? Was that a principle that we were taught so that they could control the population, or that or for some sort of population control reasons? Possibly. That it sounds like it to me. Those ideas are very harmful, in my humble opinion. They're very harmful, especially being that technically there's a lot of people that they don't even start experiencing anything. There's people that are virgins up until their late 30s, up until their late 20s. They don't even have sex or have children until they're in their 30s or 40s. So why is it that there's other people that feel as though you're supposed to have your children as teenagers and in your 20s, but then when you get 30, all of a sudden you start to die and things start to go downhill? Why are there people still out there teaching that? I think it's a complete perversion of nature within itself. Because when you think about old people, you know, thousands of years ago, people were not considered to be old until they were in their hundreds or even 200s. So the lifespan of people has shortened. And I was reading an article that it was saying that COVID-19 was shortening people's lifespan by a year. I read the article. I was like, is this a joke? Because it was like COVID-19 is shortening people's lifespan by at least a year. I'm like, well, a year ain't nothing. Like, if you look at how much our lifespan as humans on this planet has been shortened, it's been shortened by hundreds of years. Because we used to live, I swear to you, and I know this is a fact, before we had a lot of these toxins and pollutants and certain things and entities that have been controlling the narrative, we did used to live longer. And a lot of people think that when you get older, you got to be sick. When they people think that if you're an older person, you're supposed to be sick. Why do they think that? Because they've only been taught that. When we know for a fact that, and those people are not on YouTube typically, they're not. And some of them are, and they're very controversial. people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s that you wouldn't even be able to tell how old they are, but they're very healthy and they still look very young. You don't see them too often. You just see what we are taught as the norm, that you're supposed to get old and sick and you die at the age of 50 or 60. So a lot of people that are in their 50s and 60s, they think that they're getting ready to die. So whatever you think, this is what you're going to manifest. So that's why typically whatever you perceive is what you're going to get in this life. That's what you're going to get. If you think, I'm going to die at this time, then that's what's going to happen to you. More than likely, if you tell yourself that's what's going to happen, then that's what's going to happen. If you sit and tell yourself, oh, I'm going to get sick because of this, or you're going to give me a heart attack, you're going to give me a stroke, you're going to make me sick, then that's what's going to happen. If you start to look at things differently and you don't look at things from that negative standpoint, you could stay and remain healthy for a very long time. Hold on, guys. I'll be right back. Let me look at something real quick. Okay, you guys, I'm back. I think I'm back. Sometimes it has to refresh. So this is where I'm coming at you from a high priestess's perspective. First of all, what I do in the bedroom, my clients, it's that should be of no consequence to you. If you have a problem that I can solve, it's not going to necessarily happen overnight. That's not what happens. That's called fake Hollywood magic. And it's starting to get very frustrating because I was actually watching another witch on here, and she was basically going over with and educating clients that, first of all, you can't expect always of things that things are going to manifest very quickly for you. You can't always expect that it's just going to manifest overnight. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. Sometimes things take time. Okay. And essentially, so a lot of people will say, well, if it's not going to happen overnight, the situation that I wanted, then what was the point in me coming to you? Well, a lot of times the point of you coming to us is for us to get you through it. A lot of the times people will drive themselves crazy while they're in transition of doing anything. And then yes, there are a lot of things that witches can definitely manifest for you, and you can shorten the time frame. Now when it comes to the cleanses, with the cleanses, what I am doing is I'm banishing negative spirits off of you. And I can tell you that if I don't get the essentials, food, love, sex, water, what else is essential to me? I'm a big milk drinker. I have to drink milk, so I keep milk in my refrigerator. There's certain things that high priestesses need, which, I mean, I don't even want to say everybody needs that. Everybody needs love. Everybody needs sex. Everybody needs food. Everybody at some point are going to need to rest. So those things are essential. If myself as a high priestess did not get those things, then it would make it harder for me to manifest what I need to manifest for you. That's just like there was that salad that I made. It was a very simple salad. It was just lettuce and cheese and dressing. Uh, People didn't even know that lettuce is very powerful in money manifestation. And when you add certain things with your salad, if you eat it, this is like tonight, we're going to have salmon. If you eat salmon, first of all, salmon is very good for your health, but then again, it's also very good for your wealth. So these are things that witches have been recording in history for years, and for us to deviate away from what we know works, that's just like the Sabbaths. There is no way that they're ever going to be able to stop the Sabbaths or stop us from celebrating the Sabbaths. It's not demonic, it's not satanic necessarily, but it's important because we are celebrating, we are honoring certain deities and energies. And to not honor sex is a mistake because then you're not honoring the planets, you're not honoring your inner. That's something that something wouldn't be right with a person that is not honoring that. And as long as you are connected with somebody, because I can't have I don't, you know, I think that masturbation is healthy, but I think that if you are masturbating and you have not cleared yourself, then you can end up having some issues, okay? Because when you masturbate, you're opening up your sacral chakra. So I think that doing it safely is important. I don't believe that opening yourself up to just any entity or being would be something that's safe. Hello. Oh my God, sis. I have been thinking about that room, or because we're supposed to be doing, oh my goodness. I hope that you're able to share tonight. I really do, because I would really love to and I'm gonna call you when I'm done here because I would really love, because we were supposed to do that last night, but we're supposed to be doing a sis wanted to do a live seance. So we're gonna talk about that. I'm gonna call you when I'm done here. Yeah, and see, Nova America was saying it's good to work out and be active, but did you know that sex can help you lose weight? Sex will actually help you lose weight. Even if you're not having like acrobatic sex, it still helps to regulate the hormones and the functions in your body. Okay. So it's so strange how people out there are, and I think that it's harmful. I think that if somebody tells you that you should not be having sex or that you should close yourself off sexually, I think that person is trying to harm you. That's what I think. I think that anybody that encourages, okay, because right along with that, what else are they encouraging? They are encouraging abortion, ain't they? They are. Mm, interesting. Sorry, y'all. Hold on. I need to close out my Gmail window. Sorry about that, y'all. I was getting a call. Um, okay. That you should not be listening to somebody that tells you to close off your sexual energy. If that person is trying to do that, they are trying to create some sort of death, suffering, and destruction in your life. That's just like, and I'm gonna get real personal with this one. That's just like with my daughter and my grandbaby. I am not, and see, I get this from my great grandmother. My great grandmother would have never encouraged that. And as we can see that this ends up being a curse. When I found out that I was going to be a grandmother, there was no way that, I mean, I was 100% for it. Even though my daughter was young, she was young. She was, but now she has a job, she has her own place, and I will continue to make sure that all of my children thrive, all of them. And there was no way. There's a lot of parents that think, oh, I'm going to take my kid down to the abortion clinic, and then this is what's best for them. Not necessarily, not at all. It would have to be an extreme circumstance. And I'm talking about extreme circumstance to where the pregnancy was harmful for the mother. That would be the only way, and some mothers would still not do it. And they typically survive the situation. Okay. So I do have a different perspective than other people. No, I don't believe that people should shut off their sexual energy. I think it's dangerous. And I think that if anything, it can create more stress factors in your life. For example, and I hate to say this because there's so many people that believe in this. I think that if you have certain parasites in your body, I think that you do have to starve parasites, but you don't have to do it through starvation or fasting. I think that there's certain things that feed parasites if you have them. Certain foods, like things that might be very sugary. But if you replace the sugar with honey, then what is honey going to do? Honey is an antimicrobial, and it's going to kill those parasites. See what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily believe that a person should starve themselves and weaken themselves, because I believe that, especially right now, I mean, I don't think people should eat when they're not hungry, but if you're hungry, you should absolutely eat. And if you're losing your appetite, that would mean that you are losing your zest for life. That's what that means. Something is not right necessarily if you're losing your appetite, and there are demons that will tell you to do certain things that you will find out will essentially be harmful for the body. And I believe that these demons are telling you certain things. And when you start to have a healthy balance in your life, okay, a healthy balance, especially when it comes to nutrition, okay, if you have been malnourished at some point and you've had a crap diet, there's no way that, well, you may want to purge and cleanse yourself of certain things, but to just keep cleansing and cleansing and cleansing, your body's going to need nourishment. It is. And I'm keeping it real. I'm telling y'all what the great mother would tell you, what Gaia would tell you, which is to feed off of the earth. That's what she's telling you. She's not telling you to go somewhere. And what's included with earth and with our particular just the universal reality of earth is going to be sex. It is. That's why people typically get hungry after they have sex, because they've had sex and they've opened up a lot of things, and then now the body is going to go ahead and accept that nourishment. It's been proven. If you look around, it has been proven to push those principles onto people, because what it usually does is it will either drive people into a void, or it will either take people over on the other side of the extreme, which is where they're exploring their sexual freedom and independence, and they're going to get it from wherever they can. And it's those principles that are driving people, because it doesn't make any sense. God made all of us sexual, the God and the goddess. They are one, but it's actually two energies that's making up one. You are not supposed to be doing that to your body. It has already been proven how dangerous that can be. So then they said, okay, well, guess what? Then sex can create diseases too. So then they threw that out there. But then how many of you, when you're with your sexual partner that you trust and that you love, how many of you are even thinking about that? In fact, let me just tell y'all something. Having a healthy sexual relationship with a partner and you're both healthy, this is going to connect you with your higher self. Because if you're in a certain position, if you're in a certain mindset sexually, it's going to heighten your sense of self. It's going to heighten it. Doesn't mean that, oh, a woman is a man or a woman is desperate for that sexual energy. But, and I guess it would depend on who is having sex. For some people, sex is a different experience than with other people. Sex is going to end up, um, what happens is that sexual energy, it first goes, first of all, it starts at the root, and then and then it's traveling through the sacral, and then it goes up to the solar plexus. This is going to invigorate and balance, and then it passes through the heart, and then the throat, and then the third eye, and then the crown. So when you're having sex, you should be vibrating very high. It shouldn't be a low experience to where, and see, that's where people can get closed off and they don't actually experience the benefits of sex. So us being so sexually miseducated has messed up a lot of people, mind, body, and spirit. So a high priestess is actually going to manifest possibly faster. She'll probably, she or he will probably manifest things faster and if not more powerful if they have a regular sexual, um, if they're having regular sex. So it's actually opposite. It's actually very false, is what I'm saying. That is another false indoctrination. The original seed of that indoctrination was meant to destroy you, which you guys can see that what it does is it just destroys you, and it's destroying people all over the earth because they don't have a healthy sexual outlook. The way they look at sex is that it's dirty or that it's nasty or that it's disgusting. And that's not true. You should never look at yourself as being dirty and nasty or disgusting because you enjoy sex. Perhaps the reason why you look at it that way is because of the sexual experiences that you've been having and the way that you are experiencing it. If you're a practitioner or your spiritualist has the ability to experience love and has a healthy sexual appetite, that is the closest to the norm. That's what you want. You don't want somebody closed off and in a place of atrophy because eventually, without it, things are going to go to a voided state. It's very dangerous. In fact, I am an anti celibacy person. At this point in time, depending on where you're at spiritually, you may need to be celibate. And if you have a partner that doesn't respect that and say, hey, right now I need to be celibate because I'm working out some things. And they'll say, okay, well, we don't have to have sex. We can just kiss, we can just hug. There's other ways of loving each other other than having sex. But at the end of the day, you're probably going to end up having sex. That's healthy. So please be careful with these people. First of all, I am a high priestess, not a priest, and I am not a Christian priest either. When those priests, and I'm gonna give y'all some examples, when those priests of those churches and stuff go celibate, what happens? What messages are we getting? We are getting perversion. They start doing animals and children. That's not healthy. That's not the way sex was supposed to be. Animals are supposed to have sex with other animals. This is a different species. So, what ended up happening was that when these men were told that, they began, and rape, and rape and murder. Those things start to happen. And it's a perversion. It's sick. So I'm not a priest. I'm a high priestess of Hecate, which is very, very different from being a priest at the Vatican. In fact, it's the complete opposite. Okay, it's the complete opposite. It's much more healthier to say, I want a sexual partner that I can have sex with, or not just have sex with them, but just, whatever you do on a daily basis with that person, which may include sex, because people don't have sex every day. I personally would have sex every day. If I had a sexual partner that I could have sex with every day, I would definitely be pulling on his sexual energy every single day. Okay. And if he's getting tired of it, I'm gonna say, well, where's the demon at? Because if I'm gonna try to recognize the demon. That's a demon. When you can't connect on a regular basis there's obviously something demonic that's happening. And that's the first thing that people notice when there's a problem in their relationship, is when they're not having sex every day. That's the demon that needs to be slayed. Because what that demon is trying to do is, instead of you and your partner being able to benefit from your sexual energy, the demon is going to benefit and feed off of the perversion of that energy, which the perversion of that energy is going to be mental problems, physical disease can develop, perversions can develop. You start having, medical problems and all kind of issues, because you're not allowing that kundalini and that energy. And then also sex, when you look at it from a higher perspective, you are actually connecting with the source of God, which is why a lot of people, when they have sex, they call out to God. That's why you notice how sometimes when people have sex, they call out God. Yeah, that is connecting you. So for these people to say, oh, well, sex doesn't connect you to God, what is the problem? Why is it that some people are connecting to God when they have sex, but some people are connecting to something that probably isn't even, it's not even really of this earth? It's not, it has nothing to do with your primal instincts and you as a human vessel. So then what is it then? You see what I'm saying? If he tells you he's tired, you'll buy him an energy drink. Sis, you're funny. You know what? I can tell you what the best energy drink is, though. That those spinach and bananas and strawberries and stuff like that is very good. It's just, that's like the best energy drink in nature, is making them smoothies. I'm telling you, even though I eat meat, I'm an omnivore, so I eat meat and plants. Okay, I eat both, and I also can eat grains and stuff too. But my intake of grains is very minimal, because grains can sometimes make you fat if you're eating too much bread, if you're eating too much of something. So it's best to have a balance. I feel like if you are intuitively eating, then you'll be able to give your body what it needs. Okay. So, but just to let you guys know, if you ever hear anybody say that a high priestess or a witch that has a healthy sexual appetite is weak or subpar, then that is a false indoctrination, just like all of the other false indoctrinated beliefs that are harming us as human beings today. Because I can tell you that I've went a couple of months without having sex, and it didn't do anything to help me. All it did was harmed me. Essentially, is what it did, was it created harm in my life, and it did not create. There was nothing good that came out of that. Okay, so sometimes you just can't, and you can't listen to stuff like that, because what it'll do is it'll pervert your viewpoint of things. Now, I do believe that a person that is having unhealthy sex, which might be to where you're, and I can't even judge that. I can't sit here and necessarily judge what is good for everybody, can I? That's the only thing that you should be judging, that you should be using your judgment, is based upon your, what are your spirits telling you. And most of the people that come to me, they are usually in between the ages of 18 and I've had clients as old as 70 before. Okay, so and most of them, I have clients right now that are in their 40s and 50s, and they have a healthy sexual appetite. And either they want a sexual partner to experience that with, or they want to improve upon the energy that they have between themselves and their partner. They're not saying, oh, I want to shut off all of my sexual energy. I don't typically have that. So I guess it would depend on where you're at. But typically, even people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, they'll come to me and they'll say, well, you know what? This is something that has been missing from my life, and I would like to get it back. So they're not, so maybe it's because I deal with a much, a broader demographic, is possibly why why my clients are different. And, some of my clients, they'll say, well, what's healthy is for them to say, you know what, I'm going to be celibate for a little while because I need to get some things together. That's understandable. But if you get to a place where everything is just shut off, that means that your sacral chakra is blocked. And with a blocked sacral chakra, you're going to have a whole lot of other problems all together. I can promise you that you would prefer for the person that you're dealing with to be balanced and to not have things that are blocked, because all of our creativity is coming from those areas. And then you've got certain entities that want to exploit that. They want to exploit it. They want to make it dirty. They want to say you're disgusting. They want to say that you're evil. And as a child of Lilith, my principle goes completely against that, because I'm a child of Lilith, and Lilith would never tell you that, not ever. So, and Lilith has been, well, she didn't just show up, she's been here. She's been here. She ain't just got here. She's been here, all the time. She is omnipresent. She is our primal nature that never goes away ever, not ever. It's just that sometimes it may manifest in different ways, because this is a deity that is fighting for your sexual independence, but she's not necessarily telling you to go out and do things that are going to be against your nature. She's telling you something totally different. So we've got things that have been and here's what I want to tell you. Your sexual energy and what you do sexually in the bedroom with your partner is essentially your business. It's nobody else's. Unless you come to me and ask me about that, or if I'm reading your chakras and if I see the Five of Pentacles in the reverse position, or the Four of Pentacles, if I do a reading with my cards, or sometimes y'all come to me and I can feel all of this negative energy around your sacral chakra, I will bring it up and I'll say to you, I'll say, well, what's going on? Because I can see this Five of Pentacles on it that seems to be connected to your sacral chakra, or even the root chakra. What is happening with that? And then that's when people start to open up, because typically a lot of your sexual trauma and the reason why you are the way that you are is probably because of sexual trauma. Do those demons create sexual trauma? Absolutely. And I'm going to go because we're going to have to continue this discussion later. I want to talk to you guys about how a woman's body and the man's body, but typically with the woman, because that's where the eggs is at, and that is where your body is. It's a portal. The woman's uterus is a portal. That's why I always tell women, get a second opinion, get a third opinion, get a fourth opinion, ask God, pray, meditate on it, try natural methods before you just go up there and decide you're going to have them snatch that out of you, because you don't know why. And see, a lot of this stuff, we can't really talk about it publicly, but I can say this. If it is an entity that tells you to not use your sexual energy for your benefit, and it tells you to go against nature, what does it want? It's probably trying to feed off of your babies. And I also want to say this, that is not Lilith. It's not. Whatever this entity is that demonized Lilith, the deity, that's a total fallacy. And even there's not enough information unless it is a devotee of Lilith, and that devotee understands Lilith, because I've been saying this for years. They said that Lilith was consuming children and all of that, and this is totally not true. I'm telling you that that's a lie. It's something else that's doing that. So what is the truth here? The truth is whatever your perception is, because I'm telling you that your individual spirits are going to tell you certain things, but when you're dealing with certain deities and when you're dealing with certain energies, you do have to know the truth. You do have to know the basic foundation of it. And it is not to take or to steal from you. Lilith has no reason to feed off of any of your babies because she's so powerful. She has no reason to want to eat your children because she's too powerful. She doesn't need to do that. She doesn't need to do that. And they always say, oh, Lilith was a serpent in the garden of Eden and da 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 da. I don't agree with that. So I guess it depends on who's telling the story. And then what experiences are you having? What is your personal relationship with that particular energy or that deity? And why do you have that personal relationship? That's just like some people would say that, let me think of another one. Kali Ma, nobody really speaks negatively about Kali Ma. I haven't, and I'm pretty sure that there's probably a lot of Christian sects that have said, they demonize every other deity other than Jesus Christ. But then again, my experience with Jesus Christ has not been, non-asexual, hatred, just all kind of negativity. That hasn't been my personal experience with Jesus Christ, so I can't personally attest to that. But there's some people that will say, "Oh, Jesus Christ is evil," and da 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 da. I personally think that when you're looking at a deity, that a deity is totally different than an entity that is not native to your nature. That is the problem. How can you be a deity and you're telling people that sex is bad, and then you throw in all kind of negativity? well, sex is bad because of rape. Sex is bad because of incest. Sex is bad because of pedophilia. Well, of course, those aspects of sex, those are bad, but why would that make sex inherently bad? So be careful with the information that you're getting from people and protect yourself and guard yourself sexually. Because that is where the harm is coming in. There should be no deity that is telling you that you should be killing yourself and your kids. No, that something is wrong with that. Because your ancestors that are the reason why you're here, especially our pagan ancestors, which they drew a lot of their information out of paganism, but the only difference was that they twisted it and they perverted it. Okay. So a high priestess that is in love, a witch that is in love, and she's balanced. There's nothing harmful about that. And if somebody tells you that, they're usually up to no good. They may think that they're helping, but they're not. They're not helping the situation. In fact, they need to just try to mind their own business. And why are these people so worried about what we're doing in our bedrooms with our sexual partner? Why do they care so much? Typically, the only time I'm going to care about my sexual partner is because I'm in love with that person and I don't want them to be with nobody else. I want them to just be with me because I'm in love with them. Otherwise, I'm not going to have anything else to say. I'm not going to have anything to say about what somebody else is doing sexually. Even so look, that's just like people will say that I guess a high priestess is supposed to be homeless and without any food in their refrigerator. And this somehow makes them more powerful because they don't need all of that stuff. And that wouldn't make any sense. So then you'll say, okay, well, these people are stepping outside of nature. So be careful with that. Witchcraft, in my opinion, came from paganism. That is what they called us. The word paganism came from religion. That's what they call us. They called us pagans and heathens. Okay, it's also the other word for paganism is heathenism, which that I don't accept that term either. But we identify it because paganism is factually a nature-based belief system. It is based on the belief in nature. So this is one of the reasons why we celebrate what? The Sabbaths. If you guys are, and you know what, I'm shortly before, probably going to be sometime this week. I am going to come and talk to you guys about the importance of understanding and connecting with the energies of Imbolc, which is the first Sabbath of of the new year, even though the witch's new year technically is in October. But what we are doing universally is that on January the 1st, this is the new year. Technically, when you think of it from a numbers perspective, that's what we're doing. And that's okay. So in bulk is the first Sabbath of the new year, of the new calendar year. Okay, so this is and what it's all about is it's all about Brigitte, um who is the goddess of the spring. Okay. And so this is the reason why there's a lot of people that during the winter time, they kind of hibernate. I know that I hibernate during the winter time. I stay home a lot during the winter time, especially as a high priestess. So I do everything that I do to keep me in a certain place so that I can be more helpful to you guys. And what's best for me is to hibernate, to eat plenty of organ meats. That's why I eat liver. from animals, whether or not it's beef or chicken. I eat meat. I do. I'm a meat eater. Okay, sue me, shoot me. But but then when springtime comes, that's when everything starts to bloom and you feel healed. And it doesn't mean that during the wintertime you have to feel like crap. That's the whole point of celebrating Yule and the Sabbats, is to get you through the winter to where you're, technically, Yule is about the spring. Celebrating Yule is already about welcoming in the energies of rebirth. Okay. So it's very complicated, but see, this is the reason why I stay very, very close. I do not deviate away from what has traditionally been practiced in witchcraft because it works. It does. And I'm not going to change it. I'm going to stick by it, even though there's been energies that have been trying to get me to deviate away from it. My circle is going to make sure that we don't, because this is what works. It does. And our ancestors in witchcraft is who's speaking to us through that, especially when it comes to being a witch. Our witchy ancestors is the are the people that are responsible for whatever we believe in, as far as with being a witch. Now, that's where my witchy ancestors guide me towards, is making sure to celebrate those Sabbats, period. And it's not about getting you to pay money to get in my circle. That's not what it's about. In fact, I was thinking about not even making the Sabbats available to the public anymore, because so many people don't necessarily value it. So it's much more sacred to me. And ooh, good grief. Well, I don't know how that happened, how I got on 5% that quick, but okay, because I was at 100% when I started this. So, it's about giving you an opportunity. You have a choice. You don't necessarily have to do that. I think that I think that it's important, especially if you have witchcraft in your blood, because this is how us witches did it for thousands of years, since the beginning of time. And I'm not going to change that over here. There's no need to. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that's why we continue to do it the traditional way. I am. I'm going to call you as soon as I get out of here. Okay. So, guys, listen, classes. People have been asking me about classes, but there's a lot of people right now that need cleanses. I can tell you that not only do I have a healthy sexual appetite, but I'm constantly thinking about sex. I think about sex a lot from a healthy standpoint. Does that mean that when I get on the phone with you, or when I'm in front of you, that when I do that exorcism incantation, that it's not going to scare that demon off? No, that's not what that means. If anything, I would be in a more powerful position, if anything. No, it don't have nothing to do with having a man. It don't have nothing to do with, oh, I got a man. No, no. How do you feel about yourself sexually, with or without another person? I feel very healthy about myself sexually. That's how I'm able to have the heart to even do that. So you know what it takes to banish a demon is a strong heart. That's what it takes. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why I do yoga. I drink plenty of water. I meditate. Sex is just one thing. You got to take care of the whole person. But that's really what it is, because I have ran into demons that are on people that the first thing that they grabbed was my heart. And I've had to exercise myself of certain demons and entities. So that's what it requires. And for me, I think that, in my humble opinion, in order for you to have a healthy heart, you have to have a healthy outlook, and you have to have a healthy bead on love and sex. That is what gives the high priestess or the witch power. Okay. How do they feel about themselves sexually? How healthy are they sexually? And I think that having a healthy sexual desire shows a lot about a person. It shows a lot about their energy. So, and a lot of the people that follow me, they are like-minded. And when you go over to that other side of the perspective, then you'll find that you're going to find a void. You're going to find sexual dysfunction, and instead of healing yourself from that so that you can actually experience life from a more so healthier, healed perspective. Okay, because a lot of times your sexual partners, they are there to heal you. They are. And I know that the demon lies, it lies a lot sometimes. It'll have you doing strange things, saying things that you don't mean, feeling things that are not real, but in reality, this stuff is very important, and it is important for you to take a look at what you're thinking and feeling sexually. That will tell you that. But I can tell you that I've been in fact, we were talking about that on my other channel about and I do offer sex magic classes for witches, even single witches, even witches that don't want to have sex with another person. Some people just don't, they don't want to do that. They don't want to share their body with another person. But and that's fine, but that's one of the ways that I manifest. A lot of the times when I do spiritual work, even for myself, I will use sexual energy. And it's not that I'm using the sexual energy, but I'm more so balancing myself out sexually. And also, well, I will tell you that there, because me and my sister was talking about it, and we really couldn't really get into it because there were so many entities and demons that were trying to interrupt the flow of when it comes to sex magic. And so hopefully soon, especially once spring kicks in, especially around February, when in fact, we'll probably do an entire thing on it, and I'll probably just record something and upload it, would probably be better, because that way I'm not dealing with that live energy of those demons that are on the other side of the spectrum. But talking about manifesting with sexual energy and being able to manifest by yourself sexually, because I was single um, for quite some time as a high priestess, and that was one of the things that I did. That was one of the things that I did. In fact, a lot of times when I'm trying to manifest, I will use sexual energy and masturbation. I will. And that is what is manifesting for myself as well as you as well. So if you guys have questions about that, I'm always here. I literally, when you're on YouTube, you can only touch the surface. And then, especially when it comes to sexual energy, you would have to actually be having sex to understand it. This is one of the things, one of the main things, because they've already tried to ruin the food. They've been trying to clone the animals. They've been trying to clone the vegetables and the fruits. Sex is one of the only things organically that we have on this earth that we have to protect and hold on to and preserve. And it's one of the things that is left outside of those heirloom oranges and stuff that you still see people. I'm talking about organic fruits and vegetables that look the way they're supposed to look, and they don't look like something and it don't look plastic. Sex is one of the things that God created, and the goddess, both as a unit, they created it perfectly. They did. And we can't allow them to do that. They already done tried to ruin everything. That's one of the last things left that we have to that we have. And they even want to mess with that. And they can't force us. They can only lie to you and indoctrinate you. They cannot force us to. That's God made sex perfect. Period. And most of the stuff, I feel like everything that, because I'm a true believer in spirit and God or the Most High, whatever you want to call it. That's one of the things that God made perfect. And so I think that people should stop stop trying to interfere with people's sexual energy. And they're doing it. They're doing it. Even my sister experienced it. It ain't right. Don't get back on the side of good is what I'm telling y'all, because there's no future in that at all. When people stop having sex and when people stop having babies, that means that the world is going to start dying off. And that's not what we're doing here. I don't care what the vaccine agenda is. I don't care what they always talk about Bill Gates and all that stuff. Bill Gates is not God. They're not God. Listen to God and you'll be okay. What I consider myself to be is a liaison. I consider myself to be a voice for God. They're not. They're not a voice for God. Okay? Just saying. And I'll see y'all later. Peace and love to all of y'all. Happy Tuesday. And I know this was kind of all over the place, but I hope that you guys enjoyed this discussion and that it opened up your eyes so that you could understand me, because a lot of the times I am the embodiment of Lilith. Like most of the time, like 99% of the time. And it's good. I can tell you that it's good and it's good for you. Okay. All right, y'all. See y'all later. Love and light.